All right,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Well, welcome to our exciting webinar on skiing the Dolomites, a refined alpine journey. My name is Jet, for those of you who don't know me. So my wife started LBR back in 2018, and since we have moved to Italy and started our life here, we moved our kids, and now they're little Italians running around, and um, it's been a really exciting journey for us as a family and as a company as we've evolved into a really full service DMC that has a really high focus on off the beaten path travel, local and authentic and immersive type of experiences that we feel need to be shared with the industry. And so we're really excited to share this itinerary with you guys today and talk a little bit about what this type of trip entails, as we've been doing a tremendous amount of work in the Dolomites in this area over the last couple of years. And I actually just got back from skiing the Dolomites this winter. And my two colleagues here have had a lot more experience than I have skiing the Dolomites. So I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves. Catalina, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Carolina. I'm from Italy, and I am actually the local manager for the northern part of Italy because I have extensive experience there. I grew up basically in Rome, but my summer and winter holidays with my family were always in the Dolomites. So I love that place very much. It's very deep inside my heart. So I'm really happy to be here and to be able to explain a little bit more about this amazing place in
Awesome.
Italy.
And you also snowboard and ski.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm snowboarder, I'm a
Yeah.
skier, and summer I go to do some hikings
Awesome.
and sometimes also climbing. So
Awesome.
360 on the mountain side. So
Fantastic.
all on mountains, basically never in the sea.
Awesome. All right, Jonathan, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan. Some of you maybe know me because it's not the first time I'm some webinars. Like someone knows, I'm born in Switzerland. I raised between Italy and France. So I have a big knowledge of the Alps, and I spend a lot of summer and some winter in the Dolomites because it's one of the best region for the mountains. So yeah, I also try to bring my knowledge in this webinar.
Awesome. And I actually dragged Jonathan to Colorado last year to get a taste of what it's like to ski out there. So some of
Yeah,
what
it
we'll be
was
pointing
amazing.
out, very different. So some of what we'll be pointing out is, of course, most of you are speaking to an American audience. It's important that we highlight some of the differences and set some of the expectations of what really is the experience in terms of a ski trip in this part of the country versus what most Americans that are avid skiers would be accustomed to back home. So we will bring some of that perspective to you guys throughout throughout this conversation. Well, awesome. So, guys, before we get started, I want to just do a little bit of housekeeping really quickly. So, again, for those of you that are new to our webinar series, we do try and host these at least once a month where we're talking about different topics, different regions specifically, and to kind of help educate you and get you more informed in a way that you can bring all of this back to your clientele and speak to it from an informed perspective. As we're going through the webinar, we would encourage you to go ahead and use the Q&A feature. The comments feature is turned off. So if you use the Q&A feature, we'll do our very best to address your questions in line. Otherwise, we may just get to a Q&A section towards the end of the presentation. So, but please use that feature as we're going along. Feel free to ask anything that you might want as we're moving through the conversation. So just really, really quickly, again, most of you have probably heard this before, but we'd always like to kind of reiterate and just establish some context to who we are and what we do as a DMC. So we consider ourselves keepers of tradition and culture and travel. And so what that means for us is that we feel that it's our responsibility as an industry to preserve traditions and cultures for these types of destinations. Of course, my wife was born and raised here in Italy. All of our staff, outside of myself and one other, are Italian. They all live here. And we have a very unique perspective because, of course, we're multicultural as an organization. And so our approach to this industry, our approach to the way that we work as a DMC is such. So we have the cultural sensitivities of the destination that we're operating in, but we also have the awareness of the clientele that we're speaking to. And so we bring those two things together quite nicely. So a little bit about how we work. Those of you that have not yet worked with us. So we emphasize a tremendous amount of our resources, our time, our effort, and our money into R&D. And so what that allows us to do is to really have an intimate knowledge and understanding of every region that we work in, of every partner that we work with. We are a values-first organization, which means that our values of sustainability, local ownership, local economic impact, and story and character embody the relationships that we bring to you through our partnerships here. So we pride ourselves in vetting every single driver, guide, accommodation, and experience that we work with. We also have quite a bit of proprietary experiences that we help to develop with our local partners, because of course we're working with partners that are not going to be the first thing that you see on the first page of Google, right? Most of the DMCs that work in this country are not working with some of our partners because we have a direct relationship with these partners that we have kind of developed into a sort of a client-facing experience. And then, of course, there's a lot of different DMCs in Italy. There's a lot of different DMCs all over the world, and they all work a little differently. So it's important for you to understand how we work best. And one of those key features is that we provide turnkey itineraries. So if you're looking for just the one-off driver or the one-off experience, we're probably not going to be the best fit for you. So we do work best in a turnkey, with a turnkey inquiry. We do work in Travefy, and we actually just began working in Axis as well. So for those of you that work in either of those platforms, it's really easy for us to integrate with you. Travefy obviously has a really great collaborative platform, so we can work together on a single itinerary, and it's easy for you to just take that and present it directly to your client. And then finally, I think the piece that really we love to highlight in the way that we work in our process is the concept of the local manager. One of them is sitting next to me here today, and so she's one of our best local managers here. And so what our local managers do is basically they are responsible for everything from booking the itinerary post-deposit all the way through confirming with our local partners, which they know personally, they have a personal relationship with. And then they are the point of contact for your client when they arrive. Of course, everything is white labeled, but really once your client arrives in country, they're the person that they can text, call, and just get immediate response from. So if they need to, everything from making a reservation to notifying a driver or finding a guide or anything that might need addressing within the itinerary, whether it's an emergency, hopefully not, or just a general concierge item. Our local managers are there to help make that experience as comfortable as possible for your client and make sure that they feel very well connected throughout their journey. So that's one of the big differentiators that we love to provide, and just helping make people feel more comfortable while in country. So again, just reiterating really quickly. So we are for you right? We're for you if you're looking for a great turnkey DMC here in Italy. We love to see our travel advisor partners charge a planning fee. It demonstrates that you value your time, and so do your clients. And then we do have a minimum budget. We typically require 10,000, we say dollar here, your budget. Of course, that depends on seasonality, location, and duration, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into that, but as a ballpark, that's a pretty good floor. And then, again, we're a very value-forward organization, so that applies both to our partners here locally and our clients as well. So we look for people that seek sustainable, that are looking for a more local and immersed experience, and they're looking to get off the beaten path and not, do the same sort of checkbox itinerary that every other large tour operator might provide. And then, of course, we love planning ahead. So, last minute itinerary requests, we don't shy away from all of them, especially if they're more off the beaten path. Sometimes availability is a little more flexible there, but for the most part, we love to see clients that are planning a little bit further out. And it just makes a lot of what we do a little bit easier, especially since most of the accommodations we work with are small and locally owned. So a lot of them that you'll be seeing throughout the presentation today will demonstrate kind of the scale and style of a lot of the accommodation partners that we tend to work with. And one last thing with regard to accommodations, we do get this question all the time, so I like to address it ahead of time, is how flexible are we when it comes to accommodations? We get asked this a lot by travel advisors. If I have a great relationship with, say a Belmont or, one of the larger accommodations that maybe are not in our network, or that we don't work with often, is it okay to supplement some of the itinerary with some of my accommodations? And the answer is always yes. We do tend to make those exceptions. However, we always prefer that we're working with accommodations that we have ourselves, one, vetted, and two, have a good relationship with, because of course, if anything were to happen or if any changes need to be made with regard to the accommodation, that's something that our local managers here have the ability to step in and remedy very quickly for your client. So love having the relationship. However, obviously there are times where we work with plenty of accommodations that are first times for us, but we always do like to vet and make a good point of contact and a good relationship with them before that. So, that was a mouthful. I'm ready to stop talking soon. But first, before I hand this off to our wonderful guides, I would like to just kind of preface this with what we're going to be talking about. And so many of you have likely heard of the ski safari concept. This is a really, really cool concept that is not very common in the United States. For those of you that might be avid skiers, you probably understand how a lot of the US skiing infrastructure is in place. It doesn't lend itself to a journey like this. And one of the reasons is that in the Dolomites specifically, one, you've got a Dolomite ski pass, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. It's kind of equivalent to like an Icon or an Epic Pass. Many of you may have heard of that if you're familiar with skiing in the US. So it covers all of these different resorts and ski areas. But what's really cool about the Dolomites is many of these ski areas are physically connected to each other, which means that you can move from one town to another town to another town, experiencing very different landscapes, very different cultures, and very different accommodation within one trip, all with your skis on. And that's something that is not really possible in most parts of the US for a lot of reasons. One, the infrastructure is not there for it. Two, the cultural density is just not what it is here, right? As we know. And so there's so many really cool things about this concept that these guys are going to be getting into in a minute. But yeah, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be walking you guys through sort of an itinerary of what this looks like. And we're actually going to be designing a group trip that is kind of built around this same itinerary. We don't have that launched quite yet, but as soon as we actually get the final details together, we'll be reaching out to everybody with that itinerary. And if you are interested, let us know. We can share a little bit more about that. But from here on out, I'm gonna let you guys take it. I'll kind of pop in and out as necessary, but yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Great. So as you told us before, if you go on the next slide, in the Dolomites, you have this system that is called Dolomites Super Ski, which basically is a system that connects some ski resorts together. Specifically, there are 12 resorts, and most of them are connected by slopes and lifts. As you can see there are a lot of lifts, so 450 lifts and 12,000 kilometers of slopes.
1,200? 1,200.
1,200
Yeah.
kilometers of slopes.
Still a lot.
A lot, yeah. So if you want to go on the actual website, I can show you some interesting things about this, because this is the actual website of the system, Dolomites Super Ski. And as you can see here, we have a map where the 12 ski resorts. So basically, these resorts that are in the center are connected with the slopes. And the others, like for example, the ski resort of the Dry Zinnen, which basically is the Tre Cime di Lavaredo, who you probably know because it's a very famous peak in the Dolomites, is not connected. If we go back to the presentation, we can move ahead with what do you need to know to ski in the Dolomites. So, of course, the ski pass is necessary, is mandatory, and you can choose. You can buy online this kind of ski pass that allows you to ski within all the 12 ski resorts. Or if you want to stay in just one ski resort, you can choose online on that website, and you can select only one ski resort for the day.
And just to compare this, guys, so this is a really key point when you're talking about skiing in the Dolomites, right? What is the cost of this type of trip? A lot of the cost is baked into things that are not skiing. Jonathan, do you remember what it costs to ski for one day in Breckenridge, Colorado?
Oh, it was almost 300 per day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very expensive. For this price, you have like 1 week ski pass in the Dolomites almost.
Yeah, so for the entire ski pass, so over 12 ski areas, it's something like high 80 euro a day in that range. And so it's just compared to what you get in the States, especially in the West, this is pennies on the dollar, really. So there's tremendous value in terms of the actual skiing, what it costs to actually ski and access these amazing places here.
Also, the level of the structure and the lift is very high for this price, I think.
Oh, it's fantastic. No, I mean, a lot of these ski lifts are, I mean, it was crazy. I was there with my dad just last month. And I mean, we were like looking at each other going, we don't get this in Colorado ever. I mean, I've been going there since I was a kid. And it was like, the ski lifts have these like glass bubbles that close over
Sometimes
you.
they're heated.
And they're heated. So
Yeah.
like when it's windy and cold, you're in this warm little bubble going up the ski lift, and then every other lift is a gondola. I mean, a very nice one. So it's just the infrastructure is phenomenal. It's nothing unlike what you would see in some of the more prestigious ski resorts in the United States, for sure. It would be absolutely on par.
Okay, so you need, of course, a ski pass. And in Italy, the insurance is mandatory. So you can purchase that online. Or
like $3 a day.
Yeah, $3. Or if you have your own, you probably ask and see if it cannot be applied for this kind of activities. From this year, also, the ski helmet is mandatory, but you can rent it with the other equipment on site. The rental are well organized in most of the cities. If you prefer, you can choose your equipment online and get delivered directly to your hotel.
For those that have their own equipment, it's always a good thing to check with their airline if they provide complimentary winter sport baggage. So if they're, I know Delta does this. If you're going to like a ski destination, they'll allow you to check a normal, like an actual, ski bag, which are often classified as oversized, as just a normal checked bag without any additional charge. So that always is something to check when it comes to these types of destinations. So if they do have their equipment, sometimes that may be an option too.
Okay, so it's important to know when you're planning your trip to know which season is the best. For example, now is a great period. It's one of the best weeks. So the end of February is gonna be still high season, but the first week of March is a perfect timing to go on this kind of trip. So the low season is usually by the end of November to mid-December, and of course after the Christmas holidays, so from the 7th to February 1st. And the last part is low season because snow starts to be less and the slopes are gonna be empty because of the heat of the season and the spring's coming. The high season is, of course, Christmas holidays, because everyone wants to be on the slope during the Christmas holidays, and February because it's a great time for snow condition and the days are longer, so you can go and be in the slope, in the slope for more time. Usually the hotels close in the period November and April.
And for those of you accustomed to ski seasons, this is very common back home too. Yeah, this is not too unusual. The further out you get in terms of shoulder seasons, the more exposed you are to conditions, right? So if the conditions are really great, you can still have a great ski season, but it's always higher risk. So if you're going to go early December, say that could be high risk depending on the conditions. Same thing, late March, that kind of early spring season, that can always be high risk depending on how conditions have been for the year. So a lot of what we're going to be showing in our actual itinerary that we present to you guys will be, I think we talked about end of February, early March is a really
probably
good time too.
like next week.
Yeah.
Is the
exactly
one of the
like next week would be like the best in terms of
this
conditions.
year also the snow is fantastic up there.
Yeah.
So I like to speak about it about this topic because it's not very common in Italy, this kind of situation, because Dolomites are basically located near the border of Austria. So this influence a lot the culture there, and each valley has its own tradition, its own history. So when you come across the different valley, you really can understand the differences between Italian culture, Austrian culture, and Latin culture. And you can see in the language, in the food. So it's a really interesting thing to keep in mind when you go and plan this kind of trips.
Yeah, it's really cool because as you're skiing through this whole region, you're migrating from one town to another town to another town, and every single town has a different mix of cultural influences. So it's almost like you're straddling this cultural border throughout the whole thing, and you're experiencing it through its food, through its people, through its architecture. So you've got this whole other layer of experience that you don't normally get in just a typical ski trip, right?
Or Italian trip.
Or trip through Italy,
if
right?
you go to Rome,
exactly.
Everybody's Italian. So if you go to the Dolomites, it's something else.
That's true. Awesome. Well, let's start the itinerary, shall we?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So here we have this beautiful map because you can see really where the Dolomites are and where this itinerary is going to be. As you can see, the road is more in the center of the region Veneto because the major peaks of the Dolomites are in this region. But actually the Dolomites are spread between three regions. So Trentino Alto Adige, which is the yellow one, Veneto, which is the green one, and Friuli Venezia Giulia for the small part. For this trip, we're gonna stay between these two regions, so Veneto and Trentino Alto Adige. If you go ahead, we can see how this trip is gonna start. So we take a plane, land it in Venice airport, and then with a simple 2 hours drive or private transfer, we get to Cortina. So it's pretty close. In fact, it's the same region as Venice. And we get to Cortina d'Ampezzo. Cortina d'Ampezzo, probably you know this beautiful city for the Olympics, because this year it was the base for the Olympic and now it's the base for the Paralympic. Veneto is the most Italian part for the Dolomites. So Trentino Alto Adige is always Italy, as you know, but there is a lot more influence with the German side. Veneto instead is very Italian. Also, you can see these differences, as I told you before, in the food in the restaurant there. So because Cortina d'Ampezzo is really near to Venice, sometimes you can really find seafood in the restaurant. So it's a particular thing to keep in mind when you go there. Regarding the accommodation that we selected for this trip, we selected three accommodation that we work with. They are pretty similar to each other. They are all boutique hotels, so they are pretty small, 12 rooms. But we selected this kind of structures because we think that they are all the facilities and the services that you're looking for this kind of trip. So they have the heated ski room, the private shuttles, and they have the option to have the ski rental equipment delivered. So when you get there, you probably already selected your equipment online and you can find it directly in the hotel. So they really think about every kind of services for skiing in Cortina.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, these kinds of services.
On another note too, just the three accommodation options that we're presenting to you guys right now, they've all been intentionally selected to be on the periphery of Cortina. So they're not actually in the city center. Cortina is quite a large town compared to some of the other paesi in the Dolomiti. And so, of course, that provides us with a tremendous amount of options and variety, both in terms of shopping, dining, experiences, accommodations, etc. But of course, we're talking about a ski safari. And so one of the elements of a ski safari is you do want to be, you're focused on skiing, but you also you kind of want to have your own space, right? And if you're in a small group setting, whether it be with a group of friends or with a small group trip, it's always nice to have just sort of a space to kind of retreat back to. And of course, having Cortina right there, you can always come in and out via the accommodation shuttle or private transfer or provided transportation with the small group trip in the case of one of our trips. So just to kind of preface that, a lot of these are on the periphery of the town. They're not in the
but they
middle of town.
are pretty close, or 15 minutes by foot or 5 minutes by car. Anyway.
There you go. So very, very close, exactly.
But
right.
not in the city center, just to avoid any crowds or confusion, and just to be able to fully unwind in their facilities. So this other boutique hotel is called Casa Guarnier. It's pretty new. It opened last year, and this year they finished the brand new spa. It's a small spa, but it's pretty nice. And I think this could be a really to-go choice for a buyout because they have only 11 rooms and they have on-site bar and on-site restaurant. So you really have everything you need for this kind of trip.
Very amenity heavy for a very relatively small accommodation. So for a small group, this is a fantastic option for exclusivity, which is something we typically push for our own small group. So yeah, this is really, really great. All right.
Same thing, same similar situation for the last one called Lodge Alvera. They have a beautiful wellness center and 12 rooms, on-site restaurant as well, and a really beautiful view of the Dolomites.
Excellent. Awesome.
So as you can see here, this is the ski resort of Cortina d'Ampezzo, which actually is not very big. We are talking about 20 kilometers of slopes that are divided in two sections, as you can see from this map. So Cortina is in the center, and then you have a part on the right and the other part on the left. And for this kind of trip, we thought about explore maybe the right part on the first day, and then the day after, when you're gonna move to the other destination, you can explore a little bit the left part and then move to the other valley. Yep. If you go ahead, I think we have the graphic. No, before we have the experiences. Okay, so later I will explain the route between Cortina and the other valley.
Yeah, I think if I can interject for a second, just the way that these trips are structured. So typically what we'll have is one, we're working with a very small group. So it's a very exclusive experience. So we're talking about usually max 6 people. So a very, very small group in our case. And in our case, we have 2 facilitators. So meaning that we have one ski guide that's with the group on the slopes, whoever is skiing the entire time. And then we have one person that's on the ground handling the luggage transfers, but also able to kind of accommodate the non-skiers or folks that are maybe taking a day or two off that want to incorporate other types of activities within that itinerary. So there's a lot of flexibility there for sort of somewhat diverse groups. But of course, this is a trip primarily geared for skiing enthusiasts. But from time to time, you either may have somebody that wants to take a day off, or that wants to bring a spouse or a friend that maybe isn't as enthusiastic about skiing. So we always want to incorporate some flexibility there. So just to build some context around how that works, but we can go ahead and do
in
the
fact,
experience.
we can speak a little bit more of the experiences that you can try near Cortina. This one is really nice because you talk about El Brite dell'Arieto, which is a farm and a restaurant. The owner is a Michelin star chef, and the restaurant has the green star. So if you go for a meal there, you can really experience this very typical and very Michelin star restaurant situation. But the experience is about their production of cheese. So the experience basically starts from the farm, where you can taste and see the animals, the cows that lives there, and you can taste their milk. And then you move to the actual part where they made the cheese. You can see all the process, and the experience finish with the taste of the cheese with pairings of a glass of wine.
We always say that our ideal client is the type of client that wants luxury, but they still want to milk the goat. And this is a perfect example of that. The merging of this sort of Michelin star experience with this total cultural immersion and more rustic feel in the farmhouse. So this is a really cool experience. Awesome.
This other experience is pretty cool because you're going to learn how to drive a snowmobile. You have to go pretty near to Cortina. It's about 30 minutes by car. The experience starts from Lago Ontorno, and then with your snowmobile, with a 20 kilometers trail, you get near to the famous peak of Tre Cime di Lavaredo. So it's a really panoramic experience with a little twist of adrenaline experience. So it's really nice.
Very cool.
We
still have
this one, it's one of the cooking class that we usually promote. It's pretty interesting because it's not Italian typical food, but more Austriac food. So you can really taste the difference between the typical Italian pasta and see here a food that is not really famous, that is called canederli. It's typical from South Tyrol and Tyrol.
Bread balls?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, those are
bread
so
balls,
good.
basically. You're right. They call it dumplings, but they are bread balls. You can really start to learn in this experience with Franzi, which is the daughter of the farmers that lives in this beautiful farm there. And you can cook 3 different types of canederli. And then after the cooking class, you can, of course, taste the labor of your work.
Awesome.
So here, this is the method that I mentioned before. So with your ski on, you start from Cortina and you can totally change the valley. So basically, you go from the other side, from this side of the mountain to the other side.
Yeah.
So
you're with your ski guide and the ski group, and basically you're moving with your skis on from one valley to the other. As you saw in the last ski map, which you'll see more of like this, the Dolomites are very different in that everything is interconnected. So the ski areas are so vast that it takes, sometimes several gondola rides or lift rides to get from one end to the other. And so in doing so, they're connecting all of these different resorts along the way. And this is an example of that. So day 3, we're actually moving with our skis on we're skiing from one town to the other. Jonathan, did you want to?
Yeah, you don't need to bring your luggage with you because you will have a transfer for
Thank you.
your
Yeah.
luggage.
That's what the other person's going to be doing. Yeah. So one of us stays behind with the vehicle, and we're actually we're transferring your luggage to the next accommodation. So by the time you're there, your luggage has been ported, everything is ready for you, and then of course we've got your pickup is ready at the end of the ski day to bring you to the new accommodation. So that's exactly right. Thank you, Jonathan. It's a good detail. And this is
So
how you get there.
yeah, this is really strange, but at the same time really
So
interesting
awesome.
because you with your ski, you are just arrived to a new valley, and of course a valley is flat, so you need a little help. And in this case, there isn't any ski lift, but you have the experience with the horses. It's something very typical, and I think it's nice touch to get to know better this kind of traditions, because in the past they probably had only horses to
It's
ski.
a really cool, very traditional and unique way to move your way from one valley to another. So this is, yeah, beats a T-bar. This is awesome. I love it. Great.
So now we are in another valley and in another region, because before we were in Veneto and now we are in Trentino Alto Adige in the South Tyrol part. So the part that is more influenced by German and Austria because it's near the border. Here we have four major cities. Yeah, there are Corvara, Colfosco, no, five major cities. There are Corvara, Colfosco, La Villa, San Cassiano and Badia. But for this trip, we are staying in San Cassiano, if you want to go ahead. Yeah, in this beautiful hotel that is located in the middle of the city. So if you want to just take a stroll, you are just there. And the slopes are pretty close by. They have also here all the services, the ski room, and everything that you need. So the restaurant on side, and also the view from here is pretty nice. A little bit different from Cortina because we are actually in the city, but
And
it's a very small city, very tranquil situation.
Yeah, it's a much smaller city, obviously, than Cortina. So being central isn't so
Yeah.
bad, and having some walkability in this location is kind of a nice feature after you've been skiing for the last couple days. And it's probably worth mentioning in most of these accommodations, half board is part of the
Yeah, they
stay,
used to
right?
it
Yeah, they're
because
very accustomed to that.
when you ski all day, probably you don't want to
Right.
go and
Exactly.
search for
Exactly.
dinner
So in
somewhere.
in our group trip that we would be happy to share with you, we include half board throughout the trip. Yeah. Yeah. So dinner and breakfast. All right.
Here you have
Fantastic.
a panoramic of this beautiful ski resort. It's much bigger compared to Cortina, and it really connects all the major city together, if you can see. So now we are on the bottom part, San Cassiano, but you can reach really all the city of the valley with the slopes only.
And just to orient you guys, so like normally in the US, right, it's green is easy, blue is intermediate, and black is advanced. In this case, it's blue is easy,
yeah,
red is intermediate, and black is advanced.
Correct.
Okay, so just so we have our color coding figured out here. Awesome. This is super cool.
Yeah, this experience it's for dinner time, so you need to keep your energy for this kind of experience. But basically, if you want to have dinner in Rifugio, the only way that you can reach it is taking the snowcat. So the snowcat, this red machine that you can see there, pick you up at the village and then take you up to this beautiful rifugio that is called Col Prada. And here you can have a beautiful dinner with typical dishes in a very typical ambience. So it's a really unique experience to have in this kind of trips.
Yeah, and if you've never been on a snowcat before, they're super, super cool. they're these giant tractor-like machines that literally go straight up a mountain. So it's kind of a cool
It can be scary
experience.
sometimes. I
Yeah, it's
think.
kind of scary, but it's, enough wine and you can do anything. It's really a cool way to kind of reach some of these sort of refugi, which are very, very, very traditional and kind of isolated, but quite a magical experience, especially towards the end of the day after you've had a long day of skiing.
So now we had
Speaking
dinner.
of refugi.
Yeah, speaking of refugi, we had dinner, but why don't we sleep in one of them? So moving from San Cassiano to this rifugio, we are going to our new accommodation that is very unique and particular because it's actually a rifugio, one of the few that has a spa. So we are talking about a luxury rifugio. This rifugio is called Rifugio Fredarola. If you want to go ahead, yes, and this one. It has 10 rooms and it is located on a very particular location because it is on one of the major ski route of the ski Dolomites area. So you're gonna sleep in a very strategic point of this trip, right in the middle of between valleys, basically.
And the views are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just
That is the spa.
wow.
Is one of the best view you can have, like in the Dolomites, because this rifugio it's a very strategic place, and the rifugio itself it's stunning inside. So just let Caroline continue, but it's one of the best places in the Dolomites for me.
It has only 10 rooms, so it's pretty exclusive experience as well.
Wow, fantastic.
So here you go. This is Sella ski circuit. That is the most famous ski circuit of the Dolomites. For this trip, we already did it. So we started from there, Corvara, and then we are here in Rifugio Fredarola. But if you want to have the full circle, you can do in one day, and it takes usually six hours.
That's a long day.
Yeah, it's a long day, and you
long
have
day.
to be good in planning because otherwise you get stuck
There's
somewhere.
There's no.
But it connects 4 different valleys, as you can see.
Wow, it's amazing. Yeah, so this is a really just good demonstration of how interconnected this whole network of ski areas are. That's fantastic.
So now we are on the final part of the trip, where the pace of the trip is gonna change a little bit because we gonna arrive to Vigo di Fassa, which basically is one of the most famous valley in the Trentino region.
And again, by ski, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, so everything
Again,
up to
by
this
ski.
point by skis.
This is the final part of the safari ski because we are gonna stay in Vigo di Fassa for 3 days to explore the ski resort that are not connected by ski, but they are pretty close to each other by car. So we're gonna explain it later. The base for this trip is in Val di Fassa, specifically in the town of Vigo di Fassa. And we selected the hotel that is called Olympic Spa. And we think this kind of hotel is perfect for a more relaxed pace of the trip. So we are gonna sleep in this hotel for 3 nights. And this hotel has 40 rooms, but it has a beautiful big spa. In this spa, you can experience also a typical ritual. If you want to go ahead. Yeah, this is the hotel and the spa. One more, I can speak about the ritual. Yeah. I don't know if you know this ritual because it's typical in German and Austria region. It's called Opus. And in this specific hotel, they have this guy that won the Olympics of Opus. That is really strange, but they have this very famous competition for this It's not really a sport. It's more a link to wellness, and I can see maybe more similar to yoga, because this experience is about this guy moving the towel inside the sauna, creating the currents and the winds that change the temperature inside the sauna. And also, in addition to that, it mixed infused essential oils. So when you are in the sauna with the hot winds, you can really smell all the oils and get benefit from it. And usually he does this movement with the music under. So it's really nice experience to try, I can say. Also, if you don't like sauna, because it's a totally different experience, in my opinion.
And the dude's an absolute stud.
Yeah.
So
if you do offals, you got abs.
I guess you do, man. Yeah, I don't know. This is like not my winter job.
So in the same village, we have another great option that is Champedi Hotel, a 5-star hotel with same amenities of the other one, a little bit bigger because they have 46 rooms. And as well as the other, all the services, ski rooms, ski shuttles as well. And yeah, for the final part of this trip, we're gonna stay or in Olympic or in Champedier for 3 nights, because we want to explore the ski resort that are not connected by ski. So if you go ahead, I think, yes, you have the map. This is one of them that is called Carezza Vigo di Fassa Ski Resort. And basically this one is the one that you can start from the city that you are sleeping in. So you don't need to take the car from here.
Gotcha.
And the next day you can explore another one that basically is on the other side of the mountain. That is called Carezza Ski Resort, which is this one. They are, as you can see, pretty smaller compared to the previous one. So I think it's nice to have just one day to really see different kind of situation, different kind of culture. Also.
It's so interesting though, because every single valley you enter has a completely different landscape. Like the backdrop just changes, and it's all majestic, and it's like 50 different versions of, Yosemite or something. It's just these massive, beautiful granite sheer faces, and they're all different and they're all majestic, and it's just such a treat to explore everyone. There's just so much variety between these valleys, just in the way they look too.
Yeah. And the last one is called Predazzo, Beregga, and Pampeaco, because it's a ski resort that connects 3 villages together, but we get it from by car, so it's always 20 minutes from Vigo di Fassa. Here you go. You can see here different cities interconnected with the slopes. One interesting thing about this area is also the experiences that you can go and do there, if you want to go ahead. So if you don't ski, you can go directly from Vigo di Fassa to Rifugio Gardeccia and do snowshoeing experience. This Rifugio is not reachable by ski, so you can go there just walking or snowshoeing. It depends on snow condition. And same thing for this other Rifugio that is close by Vigo di Fassa, around 30 minutes by car. So it's another way to explore and experience Dolomites.
In a lot of these rifugi, they're on a lot of them are on a really great trekking path, right, during the summer months as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that trekking that you can do if you want to do the hut to hut hiking. That's basically another version of this trip, but just in summertime. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and probably incorporating a little more refugee stays than we were.
Because you are
displaying
slower
this one. Exactly.
when walking.
Yeah, Jonathan, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, guys. So if I can add something, like the amazing thing about this kind of trip, it's like you are still in the mountain, but you really experience a lot of different things. And every time you switch to another region, it's very another culture, because sometimes they speak Italian, sometimes they speak Ladino, sometimes they don't speak Italian. So it's very a cultural mix, and also the landscape, like Jet said, it changed a lot. But you really have the impression every day you are in a different place, and also the experience are very incredible. I think this kind of trip, it's like a lifetime experience, because after you spend 1 week like this, you are just, I mean, it's amazing, because I had the opportunity to do a lot of ski trip in different places, but the diversity of the Dolomites, it's just incredible.
It's hard to beat anywhere. Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite experiences.
Yeah, I think the same, because sledding is one of the most fun things to do, especially in this case during the night. So you have the possibility to take one ski lift just for this kind of experience. It's a different pass, so you need to purchase for this kind of experience. And if you want to ski during the night, they also light up one slope in this ski resort.
A little bit of night skiing for those that haven't gotten all of their skiing out of the system yet.
During the night, the condition of the slope is a little bit different, because the temperature is lower. That's so right. It's another type of experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
And that's it.
Awesome.
The trip is finished, and we are in Vigo di Fassa, but it's not far away from the airport, around less than 3 hours. So you can go back to the airport, Venice airport.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you, Carolina and Jonathan. That was really wonderful to walk through that with you guys. Guys, I can speak from personal experience. This is a fantastic trip. It's tremendous value for the skiing, absolutely. And then when you're mixing in just the cultural diversity, the diversity of the topography, I mean, the food, the views, it's another level than what you get in the States on just a typical one-dimensional ski trip. Not to say that those aren't great either. They're fantastic for what they are, but this definitely adds in a few different layers of just really phenomenal features, and such a different way to experience Italy as a country. And of course, in the wake of the Olympics, people are, they have this destination on their radar probably now more than ever, specifically. So generating interest in this type of trip is definitely at its height. So if we can be of any service to you guys in helping to organize, whether it be a private trip, just an FIT for somebody looking to do this on their own, or somebody looking to plug into a small group trip, or if you yourself would like to lead a small group trip in this destination for this specific purpose, say you have a group of clients that are interested in this type of thing, even if you're not an avid skier, we can accommodate that for you. So we typically do partner with travel advisors who have their own groups in mind that they co-facilitate these types of trips with us. We provide a facilitator. In this case, we would provide a skiing facilitator for you. So there's a lot we could do here to kind of make this happen for you guys. So please feel free to reach out if you haven't already about this type of trips or others in this area. We've really become very versed in the Dolomites over the last couple of years. With our fantastic team that has obviously spent a lot of time and effort in opening up this region for us. So with that said, our next webinar is going to be on March 18th.
Hey, Jet, we have a few questions. I don't know if you saw the Q&A.
Yeah. Oh, we do. Okay. Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, so one of the questions was, do you organize hiking in the Dolomites, hut to hut hiking? So, Jonathan, do you want to answer that?
So we could, but I mean, the fact is, when you go hut to hut, you really need to be flexible on the accommodation, because not every accommodation are like the one we propose in this trip. So this is a tricky question. We can definitely, I mean, depends of the kind of clients, what they are looking for. But I mean, we don't sell a package, so we are flexible. So we are really open to listen what's the traveler needs, and based on that, we can probably work together on something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, I would say we're definitely equipped in terms of our partnerships to accommodate that type of request for sure. As of today, we're not actively promoting it as a group trip of our own. However, the ski safari trip is something that we'll be launching just as a group trip in general in the next probably week or two. We're pretty close to launching that for 2027 around this time next year. And so there was a question about per person price for a trip like this. What we're typically the type of trip that we're looking at for the level of luxury accommodation and service and transfers and all that for a trip like this is probably going to be in the ballpark between 10 and 11,000 euros per person. Of course, we're talking about a very small group, so this is a very like limited seat group. So you've got basically up to 6 travelers at a time. And you've got 2 facilitators, so one skiing guide and then one sort of on the ground facilitator that's helping to manage all the transfers and activities on the ground. So it's quite high touch in this case. Of course, there's quite a wide range of price points that you could achieve when it comes to a trip like this in an FIT context, but for the sake of this trip specifically, that's what we're looking for. Yes, we could absolutely privatize this type of itinerary for a family of 4. Absolutely. If they want it to be guided, of course, there's hybrid versions of this, right? So it could be fully guided, kind of facilitated, if you will, as we've discussed here, or we could really incorporate more just private transfers where needed, and then have a ski guide that joins them for the skiing portion, and then they're on their own for the remainder of gap times that they're not skiing. So yes, there's a lot of things we could do to FIT this. Absolutely. Can people be at different levels of skiers and get to the same place at the end of the day? Great question. Yes. Part of what we would need to do is, as a part of the onboarding, is really determine at what level they are. Very likely, the ski guide would have to match sort of the median level of the group, such that we could keep everybody close, if not together, the entire time. Obviously, we're not leaving anybody on the mountain. These places are relatively easy to navigate. They're not as, I mean, they're pretty vast spaces, but for example, you can have checkpoints, right? So as you're moving along, you have sort of a checkpoint at lift A, and everybody is kind of, if we're moving from one point to another, say one town to another, we need to kind of stage at group A, and then once everybody's arrived, we move on, and then people kind of move at their leisure to the next checkpoint. So it's fairly well planned and mapped out in that way, so that people can be accommodated at different levels. Okay, great. I think that's pretty much most of the questions, guys. All right. Excellent. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate your time and just learning about some of the partnerships that we have in these different regions, some of the different types of trips and styles of trips that we operate with. Of course, most of you are familiar with how we work as a DMC at this point. We always do ask, if you haven't already, please book an intro call with us. We'd love to get to know you and your business, how you work, what type of clientele you're working with, and see if it's a good fit.